Yes, good morning, children. So, for the past 2 days, we have been doing Lee Chatelier principle. We saw so many examples. I tried my level best to make you understand. Okay, so a quick go through of what we saw in a condensed way we are going to see now. Okay, you know the definition that a system at equilibrium, if it is subjected to change in concentration or pressure or volume or temperature, the system readjusts itself to counteract the effect of change caused to it. Whatever change that has happened due to any disturbance created, how the system is readjusting itself and coming to a new equilibrium state. So that is Chatelier principle. So here we saw the various conditions under which how the principle is applied. A quick revision now. If the concentration of reactant is increased, then the equilibrium shifts in the forward direction. If any product is increased, then the equilibrium will shift in the backward direction. Is that clear? So what is the basic thing? If anything is produced in excess, that has to be consumed. And if it is anything that is deficient, that is lacking, then the system will start producing it. ठीक है, तो अगर आपके पास a plus b giving you c plus d है, ठीक है, तो इसमें अगर c आपने रिमूव किया सिस्टम में से तो a और b सोचेगा हाई c कम हो गई, मुझे बनाना पड़ेगा, तो ये फॉरवर्ड में जाएगा. अगर मान लो b को आपने उठा दिया तो इमीडिएटली क्या करेगा c एंड d, मुझे b को रिफिल करना है, तो c और d रिएक्ट होके b प्रोड्यूस करेगा. सो दिस इज व्हाट इज बेसिकली हैपनिंग इन द केस ऑफ concentration. Now, what is the effect of temperature? If you are having A plus B giving you say C plus energy, so forward reaction is energy releasing step and backward reaction is energy requiring step. So if you increase the temperature, what will happen? Forward reaction को energy तो चाहिए ही नहीं, खुद के पास ज़्यादा energy है तभी तो release कर रहा है, तो जो इंक्रीज इन टेम्परेचर आप प्रोवाइड कर रहे हो वो बैकवर्ड रिएक्शन के लिए काम आएगा. द सिस्टम विल स्टार्ट मूविंग इन द बैकवर्ड डायरेक्शन. एंड इफ इट इज एंडोथर्मिक रिएक्शन, से A plus energy gives you B, then it will absorb the energy and move in the forward direction, right? If it is an exothermic reaction, the system will revert. If it is an endothermic reaction, the system will go in the forward direction. The equilibrium will shift in the forward direction. You should write properly, okay? Then what is the effect of pressure? Increase in pressure will shift the equilibrium towards that direction having lesser number of moles, right? Say for example, you are having A plus 2B. 3A plus 2B is giving you say C plus 2D, something like this. Okay, now if I'm going to increase the pressure of the system, which side you are having lesser number of moles? You see 1 plus 2 is 3. Here 3 plus 2 is 5, which is less. This is less. So increase in pressure will make the reaction move in the forward direction, whereas decrease in pressure will make the reaction move in the opposite direction, greater number of moles. Okay, so this is what you have to understand. Increase in pressure, then the system will move towards lesser number of moles. Okay, so you may keep any simple terms to remember these things, okay, so that you are able to answer your questions easily. Then what happens when a catalyst is added? The addition of catalyst does not disturb the equilibrium. It only helps in attaining the equilibrium faster. Okay, say a reaction is taking say half an hour to come to an equilibrium state or 1 hour to come to an equilibrium state. In the presence of catalyst, it may reach within 15-20 minutes. Okay, so it makes the reaction system acquire the equilibrium faster. Now what happens when an inert gas is added to the system? Now this we did not discuss, so please carefully listen. Addition of inert gas, say whichever is the reaction that you're conducting, say you're adding neon into it or helium into it, this is an inert gas, is it not? Now, addition of inert gas at constant volume has no effect on equilibrium because the volume is constant. How are you calculating Kc? Kc is product of concentration of products upon product of concentration of reactant. This is how you calculate Kc, isn't it? You know to write the equilibrium expression. Now you are expressing everything in terms of concentration. Concentration is nothing but number of moles per unit volume. So when you are not changing the volume, when you are keeping the volume constant, molar concentration is not going to change. Whether you add anything, you remove anything, nothing is going to matter, right? Because you are conducting everything at constant volume. Okay, so the equilibrium, there is no change or there is no effect in the equilibrium, right? Whereas at constant pressure, if you consider, then the equilibrium shifts towards larger number of moles. Now how, you see, at constant volume, the molar concentration does not change because volume is not changing. So this is not going to change. This is also not going to change, right? You are adding something. So ये जो existing है वो तो रहेगा ही. Upon volume, you'll get the same molarity. So Kc will remain same. But at constant pressure, what happens? Addition of inert gas is accompanied by an increase in volume. In order to preserve the pressure, volume of the container has to increase. Only then it can maintain that pressure, is it not? So when there is increase in volume, then obviously molar concentration will also differ. If molar concentration is differing, that means Kc will also differ, right? So this is what you need to understand under this. Now we are going to see some examples for this Chatelier principle. Some life examples we are going to see. Right? Okay. Now let us take the first one. This I was talking to you the other day. I gave you a simple video also. Clothes dry quicker when there is a breeze or we keep on shaking it. This I told you. Whatever cloth you are hanging down, and so long as there is no breeze, the system will take its own time to get dried up. Okay, the cloth will take its time. But suddenly if a breeze blows and it is lifting the cloth, then there is vacuum created and then the rate of evaporation will increase. I told you. That's what he has given here, right? This is because water vapor of the nearby air are removed because vacuum is created when the cloth is lifted, right? And the cloth loses more and more water vapor to re-establish equilibrium with the surrounding air. Okay, so long as the breeze is there, breeze is the disturbance. Okay, and immediately the evaporation will become faster. Then कपड़ा तो वापस आएगा ही, ठीक है, अगेन एक न्यू इक्विलिब्रियम स्टेट पे आ जाएगा. Same way, we sweat more on a humid day, but it evaporates when we sit under the fan. थोड़ा खुद भी सोचना पड़ेगा आपको. See, अगर आप फैन स्विच ऑन नहीं करोगे and you keep sitting in one place and you will sweat a lot, and the rate of sweating will be equal to the rate of evaporation from your skin. That water which is coming out as in the form of sweat will also evaporate. Is that clear? Now when you sit under the fan, what will happen? More sweating takes place because the surrounding air has large amount of water vapor and our skin cannot lose more to it, because during the humid climate what happens? The surrounding air is full of moisture. So when you are sweating, you will sweat all the more because the air is already saturated. So the moisture that is present on your skin, where it will go? There is no space, is it not? So the fan removes the humid air. When you sit under the fan, what will happen? Fan सराउंडिंग एयर में जो मॉइस्चर है उसको रिमूव करेगा and from your skin the evaporation will start, so you feel relieved. Same way in the case of transport of oxygen by hemoglobin in blood. Oxygen breathed in combines with hemoglobin in the lungs to form oxyhemoglobin, and when this reaches the tissues the pressure of oxygen there is low. That is why, see, when the oxygen is being supplied, जहां जहां कम है वहां पे वो देते हुए जाएगा, ठीक है। तो जब ऑक्सीजन अंदर आता है तो एकदम से ऑक्सीजन का प्रेशर बढ़ गया, सो टू रीएडजस्ट द इक्विलिब्रियम ऑक्सीहीमोग्लोबिन gives up oxygen. When it returns to lungs where the pressure of oxygen is high, more of oxyhemoglobin is formed, right? Same way, removal of CO2 from tissues by the blood. CO2 will form carbonic acid and carbonic acid will ionize to give you back HCO3 minus. So carbon dioxide की partial pressure tissues में high है and it dissolves in the blood. In the lungs, as partial pressure of CO2 is low, it is released from the blood. ठीक है, see, when you take in oxygen, you release carbon dioxide also. ठीक है, so when tissues में carbon dioxide pressure ज़्यादा हो जाता है फिर वो ब्लड में से वापस चला जाता है, it is released from the blood so that it can take up now fresh oxygen. Now when it takes up oxygen, it will go and distribute to all the tissues, and from the tissues it will take up carbon dioxide and release it to the lungs to be exhaled. Okay, so this system will go on and on. Then another interesting thing is tooth decay by sweets. Our teeth are coated with an enamel, this you have studied in 10th class, known as calcium phosphate, and it is existing in equilibrium with its ions. Okay, now this is dissociating to give you Ca2 plus phosphate ion and OH minus. Okay, now the forward reaction involving dissociation is called demineralization. Ca2 plus यहाँ से release होता है, so you call it as demineralization. And the backward reaction is remineralization. It is again formed. So if you do not brush your teeth, what will happen after taking sweets? The sugar present in between the teeth gets fermented to produce H plus ions. The bacteria present in the teeth will react with the food item to produce H plus ions, and these H plus ions will react with OH minus ions, okay, shifting the equilibrium in the, अगर ये यूजअप हो गया, सिस्टम क्या सोचेगा, इसकी कमी है तो फॉरवर्ड रिएक्शन शुरू हो जाएगा. फॉरवर्ड रिएक्शन क्या है? डीमिनरलाइजेशन है. डीमिनरलाइजेशन में Ca2 प्लस बाहर आ गया, इसको मतलब आपकी टूथ को जो सपोर्ट है वो खत्म होती जा रही है. एग्जैक्टली है. सो दिस इज व्हाट इज कॉल्ड एज टूथ डीके.